talk to you tonight. I just want to midterm election in America. This is what we call the midterm election. Primaries have all ended, and we're less than 50 days from election day. 50 days from election day. Early voting starts on October 24th, goes through November the 4th, and election day is November the 8th. Why is this so important? And why, if it isn't important, are there so many restrictions imposed upon the voting process in America? Why is there such a battle and fight to create laws in legislative bodies of states, to create a greater burden for people exercising the constitutional liberty and sacred honor of casting our ballot, which makes America this state of democracy? Because people know, the powers that be know, that you and I have in our possession the ballot box, the ballot. And with that ballot, we can place people in positions of power to make decisions, to move us closer to a place of unity and oneness, and to be able to meet the needs of a democracy, taking care of the needs and services of people. And when there is greed for money, then that will drive a very ill behavior to create restrictions to dismantle and disrupt and dismay a program and a policy and a procedure that allows liberty and justice for all to be experienced. And so I say to you, men and women, boys and girls who are 17 years, 10 months of age and up, that if you're not registered to vote, now is the time to be registered to vote in America. Now is a time to make sure that you're registered before election day. Because we've gone through 2 years of legislative manipulation and movement of creating laws where you can't bring water, or you can't bring more than 7 people to the polls. Laws that would make it more difficult. You have to have this type of identification or that type of identification. They even had a law in the book that if you saw something in the polls that was irregular or out of order, that they could take out those ballots that have been cast and be able to use those ballots for their own direction. Just ludicrous, chaotic activities that was proposed as to create a more disgruntledness in the voting or the electoral process. And so I stand today as your candidate for Galveston County Judge to encourage you to wake up and to stay awake in a very critical hour. The book I read the most talks about how tare was sown among wheat, how weeds were sown among the wheat. And we wondered, how did it happen? And the information came back that while the watchers or the keepers of the garden slept, the enemy came in and sowed tares, weeds, among the wheat. And so it's important that you and I stay awake to keep the enemy out, so good can prevail, so justice can prevail. So I want to talk to you tonight about this important issues that's confronting us. In the next 50 days, America is going to come to a crossroads where we take the high road, or we're going to travel down a mighty deep road. And so I encourage you for us to make sure we're registered to vote, and to make sure we vote like our lives depend on it. We vote like our lives depend on it. Why does I say that? Because my great-great-grandmother was born a slave on my mama's side. My grandfather on my daddy's side was born a slave. And the things that they had to go through, guessing the number of beans in a jar, trying to tell them who their grandfather was when during slavery, they would sell families at the auction block. You don't know who your grandparents were. You could be a child being sold off to another plantation. And they would ask questions knowing that this person didn't know the answer, and thereby disqualifying. Knowing that they didn't know how many beans was in the jar, and thereby disqualifying them, or to charge them a poll tax knowing they didn't have the money to pay the tax. Just doing things, anything to disrupt, to dismantle, and to disturb the electoral process of democracy in the United States of America. And listen to me, being a person that knows my family history, I don't want to go back. I don't want to return back 150 years when slavery ended. I don't want to go back to Jim Crow years, Bull Connor years. I want to go back to where dogs were turned loose on citizens because they were protesting for the injustices of America. Thrown in jail, beaten by clubs, slapped, spat on for the integration of schools. I don't want to go back. And I would encourage you to join in with those of us who can see the handwriting on the wall. And say enough is enough. I'm not going too far right and I ain't going too far left. I'm going to do what is right for humanity. And so as we approach less than 50 days to early voting, less than 60 days to election day, we make up our mind that today I'm going to be registered to vote. I'm going to go to kingforcountyjudge.com, kingforcountyjudge.com, and I am going to make sure I'm registered to vote. I'm going to scroll down to vote. I'm going to enter my information, and I'm going to wait until the voting system tells and determines my eligibility to vote. And if I'm not, I'm going to make sure I register to vote while I'm on the site. It takes you to voters.org, votetexas.org. Takes you to the voter registration office. It links you up with that particular head CPU unit, that mainframe, and that you can register to vote, and they will send you your voter's registration card, and you can vote. That can be done right now, kingforcountyjudge.com. Scroll down to vote, and then enter your data, enter your information, and it will tell you whether or not you are registered to vote. So you don't get to the polls, and they tell you you're not in the system. And you have to go through feeling embarrassed, feeling indifferent, and then say, the heck with it, I'm not going to vote. That's the ultimate objective of those individuals that doesn't want you to vote from the very beginning. That's why you got to do your homework in advance. So when you get to the polls, you're ready to vote. You've got your push card. You got your name of the people you're going to vote for. You got the people that you're going to vote for. You can take that into the ballot box with you, and you can vote from the top of the ticket to the bottom of the ticket for the people that represents your values, your vision, and your vitality. Today, you're going to get the victory. In November the 8th, we're going to get the victory. Because now it's time for a change. Now it's time to do the right thing. And so first thing we want to share with you, the importance of voting, that your vote counts to making a difference, of moving America in the right direction. To say we're not going backwards, we're going forward. We're going to elect the people that represent our values, our vision, and will stand for victory on our behalf, but not move this country backwards. It's time for a change. It's time for a change from the top of the ticket to the bottom of the ticket. It's time for a change. Say what you will or may. I'm for what's right. Doing the right thing. Standing for the principles. It's fair to people, irregardless of what race, creed, color, or religion they might be. I know a lot of people that doesn't worship my God, but I don't hold that against them. I don't disrespect them as a result of it. I can't force them into my belief. I can't force them under my God's laws. My God is a God of volition, a God of will. He respects your will. You make the choice. You make the call. Choose you this day. My job is to love you and to respect you and to treat you like humanity and like I want to be treated. That's my job as a Christian, as a believer, as a child of God, not to throw the Bible at you, not to beat you over the head with the word of God. I cannot legislate morality. It has to be something willed, desired, wanted. You have to see the light. You have to know the truth, and the truth will make you free. And then you can comply and do the things that pleases God. But certainly Even with the woman caught in the act of adultery, he didn't condemn her. He says, go and sin no more. That's the kind of God I serve. So you find people trying to beat people over the head with the Bible and with religion. That's not what the master did. He sat down with wine bibbers and gluttoners and sinners, and the religious people looked at him and said, what is this man doing? He claimed to be the Son of God, and he's sitting down with wine. And Jesus says, those that are well have no need of a physician. He said, I've come to the lost sheep. I've come to the sick. I've come to help those that need help getting out of the pit they're in. I'm not going to beat them out of it. I'm not going to force them out of it. I'm not going to legislate them out of it. But I'm going to give them the truth, and I'm going to let them make an intelligent decision, because ultimately they're going to be the ones giving an account of what decision they make. It's like speeding, knowing that you're violating the law. When that man pulls in behind you with his lights on and siren on, you've made the decision. Now you have to deal with the consequences. They don't put governors on your cars to say you're not going to go drive faster than this speed limit because this is the maximum speed limit, so we're going to make cars with government. They don't do that. They make cars that drive 100 miles an hour. You're foolish enough to do that and get stopped, you're going to go to jail over 100 miles an hour. So I'm saying to you today, it's a critical hour. Let's be registered to vote. We have now until October 11th to register to vote. Now to October 11th to register to vote. We have from now to October the 28th, if you're elderly, 65 years of age and older, to request a mail-in ballot. If you are incarcerated, if you're in jail, you've not been convicted, not going to court, but you're waiting your court date, you're in jail, and you're registered to vote, or you want to register to vote, you can register to vote, and you can vote in jail. The chief of police or the sheriff has to give you an opportunity to vote. You can request that and be able to vote. I've talked to the sheriff of Galveston County. He's already assured me that anyone in the Galveston County Jail that meets the qualification will be given an opportunity to vote. If you have been convicted of a felon, you've served your time in incarceration, and you're out of jail, you've paid your debt to society, you're on parole or probation, and you want to be able to vote, you can vote. The state legislature did that in 1977. They made it possible so that you can vote after you've served your time. All you have to do is have your document from the judge or from your parole officer saying you've done your time, you're on parole or probation, and you can be reinstated to vote. So what have I said? It's important we register to vote, 1. 2, it's important that we check to make sure we're registered to vote. 3, if you have not registered, you can register. You go to my website, you go to votetexas.org and get registered to vote. Or you go to my website, kingfordcountyjudge.com, scroll down to vote, place your name and information in the appropriate boxes, and it will take you to the mainframe and allow you your data to be checked and give you the feedback to tell you you are registered or you're not registered. If you're not, at that particular point, you can register to vote. We're in this together. We're going to do this together. I'm a United States Marine combat veteran. We leave no men behind. We are together in this. We're going to cross the finish line together. We're going to vote like our lives depend on it because we know what our ancestors have gone through. We know that if it wasn't important to vote, we know if voting didn't produce great fruit and great results, there will not be as many restrictions being imposed upon our society for which to vote. We have a right, a reason, and a responsibility to vote, and we're going to vote. We're going to cast our ballots like our lives depend on it. We're not going to wait until election day. We're going to vote come October the 24th, the first day of early voting. We're going to get to the polls, and we are going to vote. And that day thereafter, every day, we're going to make sure we encourage others to vote, to vote, to vote, to vote. My name is William H. King III. I'm your candidate for Galveston County Judge, and I'm encouraging you to vote. Local voting determines everything about you. It impacts your lifestyle, from your speed limit to ordinances that affect how high grass can grow, that affects what type of law enforcement agency you have, to determine what type of school programming you have, what type of curriculum you have. who's serving on your school, what trustee, what time your school starts, what time your school ends, what type of extracurricular activities they'll have, what programs get funded, community colleges, what's available to them, what programs can be provided for students, what programs are not going to be provided, what type of students they're going to spend time and energy trying to recruit. All that happens in your local elections, from city council to mayor to water district, determining your taxes and your water rate, the cost for water, to your college, community colleges, to your county commissioner's court, to your sheriff, your district attorney, what type of procedures and who guides the courts, who guides the jurors, who guides the clerk's office. All of that's determined at your local election. And you are the one to determine who serves in that capacity. Your treasurer, what type of services they have available, how they treat you, how to respond to your need when you walk in. It should be just like walking in Chick-fil-A. Hello, welcome to the district clerk's office. Hello, welcome to the tax office. Good to have you in here today. Thanks for coming. Treat people with respect, with class, with dignity, with honor, with appreciation. They're paying taxes. They're paying citizens. Treat them with respect. And so your local election is so critical to determine who is in those offices. And there's a movement to try to align each office with a certain party of people. That should not happen. There's power from the top telling them we want to put our people from the top to the bottom to control the direction. You heard, just like I heard 2 years ago, they want governors, they want secretaries of states that can overturn an election that doesn't go their way. They want judges that can rule on criminal and civil issues based upon alignment of parties. That's not justice. Lady Justice is blindfold. Trust me, if you know what party I'm in, you're not ruling based upon the merits of the case. You're ruling based upon the alignment of the party, and that isn't justice. And so you deserve to have someone in the district court, you deserve to have someone in the JP court that's going to do the right thing. It's going to honor justice, equal justice under the law. And so I'm running for Galveston County Judge because I want to do what's right. And if the federal government sends funds to Galveston County to take care of the needs of COVID issues in the county, then I ought not take those same monies and send them to the border to stop people from coming across the border. That's a federal government responsibility. That's your collaboration and communication with the White House, with Congress. But don't take away from the citizens that you're elected by to serve and use it for a party. And then to justify it, listen to me, to justify it, to call a declaration of disaster in Galveston County when the border is over 1,000 miles from Galveston County, 1,192 miles to be exact, and then say we have to use a declaration of disaster in Galveston County because we've got the mumps, the measles, the chickenpox, and COVID coming across the border. And so we got to stop that from happening. So now we're going to take these federal funds, $6.6 million, and we're going to redirect them to the border to send constables, deputies, troopers, officers of the law to go out and stop people. Now, I talked to a constable today, and I said, now, how many of y'all arrested since y'all been at the border on federal money designed for COVID in Galveston County? He said 3. You heard me, 3 out of over 3,000. Because not every one person that's arrested, multiple individuals have crossed over, undetected, unstopped. They've been coming across the border for years, for decades. It's nothing new. They worked in our restaurants. They worked in houses. They worked in fields. They worked in hotels. They worked on different jobs because they were cheaper labor. Come on now. Let's make the truth be told. And it was fine then. But when certain people stopped getting jobs, the job became limited. Now we want all of a sudden to have a border problem. We got an immigration problem. No, we got a greed problem. Tell the truth what the truth is. So as a result, we need to make sure you understand the truth. Don't use issues like chickenpox, measles, mumps, and COVID, declare a declaration in Galveston County for 1,192 miles distant location of people crossing the borders. And then when you talk to the health director of the same county, when you talk to the Galveston County health director and ask, county health director, can you validate these issues? Are we having an increase in cases of these sicknesses in Galveston County? And the health director say, no, we don't have a problem with those. Fact about it, those illnesses are on the decline. Are you serious? So you mean to tell me the person who has now abused their power, misused the position that they're in to declare an emergency when there's no emergency been and taking place, just to justify a party, to satisfy a governor and a former president who wants to build a wall? We're better than that, America. We're better than that, Galveston County. We're better than that, Texas. And so I'm running for the restoring democracy, doing the right thing. We have another reason. Every 10 years, our nation goes with what is called a census. In the census, we determine how many people we have in a particular municipality, in a particular county, in a particular district, in a particular state, and the nation. We encourage every citizen, every immigrant, every resident to register for the census, regardless of your status, your citizenship status. It helps us to know who's here and where they are, and it also helps us determine how many representatives a state receives as far as the House of Representatives in Washington, D.C., as well as the House of State Reps in Austin, and what type of resources come into that particular state and that particular community from the federal government. So it's so important on a number of reasons why every person registers. But there is a census. And after each census, we get a chance to redraw lines. Now, we did that in Galveston County, just like we did 10 years ago. But 10 years ago, we had protections for voting. That was the Voting Rights Act. But in 2013, the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act of 1964, thereby dismantling the protections of having to make sure we have equal justice and equal representation. And so then you're left to the integrity and the veracity and the honesty of the individual in the office, whether they can govern justly, biasly. And we saw in 2013 that the Supreme Court, the Department of Justice, caused Galveston County to not do what they did 2 years ago in gerrymandering. Because taxation without representation is an abomination. It's wrong. Wayne Johnson, who was the first county commissioner, African-American in Galveston County, had a precinct whereby he served, whereby a minority could be elected. It was a minority, it was the majority minority precinct. There's still other commissioners on the commissioner's court, the white in ethnicity. And that was one that a majority minority should be able to represent. So the county judge tried to be unjust then. He hired a firm that gerrymandered the lines, dismantling that particular precinct, making it difficult, almost impossible, for a minority to be elected. And as a result, the Department of Justice intervened and they went back to the original precinct. Fast forward 10 years later, 2020, since it is over with, 2021, you're required to present your lines where your precincts will lie as a result of your growth. But we had a majority, minority, Hispanic populational growth consideration was given to them. No consideration was given to majority African American. But rather, the lines were drawn in such a way that our current county commissioner, precinct 3, Stephen Holmes, will be gerrymandered out of ability of having a majority minority precinct, whereby electing a minority. So the minorities would not be able to come together and elect a person of their choice to represent them on the county commissioner's court. Didn't have the protection because, again, 2013, it's dismantled. So you're left to the integrity, the honesty, and the veracity of the person in the county judge seat. And so we saw for the second time that didn't happen, didn't exist. And so we called the DOJ. in massive numbers. We wrote letters to the DOJ in massive numbers, and we got their attention. And they came to Galveston County, and they heard the complainants' voices, and they filed a lawsuit against the county of Galveston for gerrymandering. And we're in a case right now, and the county judge tried to place in the office of one of the former county commissioners who passed away, bless his family. And he placed a minority in that seat and said to the DOJ, see, I'm not racist, I'm fair. Here's a minority person I'm putting in his seat of his same party. And as a result, we encourage the DOJ not to be hoodwinked, bamboozled, or blindfolded to the deception and the manipulation of the judicial process of thinking that you can place somebody who has our ethnicity but a different party and does not relate to the identity of the people for which he'll be representing, as far as the party is concerned. So the DOJ has continued the lawsuit to correct the wrong by the current county judge, in which the person I'm representing to replace on November the 8th. Your help, your support, your standing up to say enough is enough, time has come to turn this around, to do the right thing. We're going to rise up in massive numbers. And I'm not just talking about minorities. I'm not just talking about Hispanics and Blacks and Asians and Filipinos. I'm talking about whites, Blacks, Hispanics. I'm talking about Republicans, Democrats, and Independents who know the right thing, who know to do the right thing. We all know the common reality of right and doing the right thing. We're going to stand together as independents, as Democrats, as Republicans, and we're going to vote for William H. King III for Galveston County Judge because it's the right thing to do, to say enough is enough. Not only do you want to gerrymander, not only do you want to manipulate and call declarations of disaster and manipulate documents indicating your disaster, but you also allow $500,000 to be bamboozled, conned under your watch. 500, that's $500,000 under your watch through a con act. Wrong, because you're not at the wheel, you're not at the helm. So we'll be the county judge that will be at the helm, be on watch. You dismantle one of your own treasurers or your own party, and you ran against him with another person. You just financed the other person, supported the other person against your own party member so they can dismantle the office of treasurer. Man, what limit, what level, what lowness would happen next if you given another 4 years to disrupt and disturb the direction of Galveston County? It's time for a change. It's time for a change. And you are the people who can see the handwriting on the wall. Just the other day, the newspaper, he only had his pom-poms. Woo! We lowered taxes, we cut taxes. Listen, you're not gonna be bamboozled, you're not gonna be hoodwinked. Not on my watch. You're gonna know the truth. I'm not running a dirty campaign, I run the truth campaign, telling the facts like it is. And the reality is the appraisal district, if you look at the last 4 years, if you look when he first started, where your home values were, and look at now where your home values are, and in the last 4 years, how your home values has doubled. And when the home value goes up, then the taxes increase. And he says, his theory is, well, I'm gonna cut your taxes. But if your home value is going up 20%, he's only cutting taxes 1 or 2%, you're still paying an 18% increase. You're not cutting my taxes. I'm still paying high taxes. If you look at what's happening right now, we're paying higher in taxes than before. It's so much so you paid so much more in taxes that the county has had surpluses of revenue at the end of every fiscal year, to the degree that the county has amassed not 100 million like it was a couple of years ago, not 150 million like it was last year, but $194 million. $194 million surplus. because they're running a tight budget. People are leaving the county from the DA's office to the sheriff's department. People are getting promotions on the job, but county judge didn't want to give them the pay raise. And department heads are having to go to argue with the county judge at the commissioners court meeting to say this is not the right thing to do. It's right that the person has the position of authority and leadership and supervision, they be paid accordingly, which is right. You pay a man what they're worth. You take care of the people that service the people that you're paid to represent, you're elected to represent. I'm simply saying to you, the handwriting is on the wall. It's time to replace your current county judge. You might say, well, why do you deserve to be elected? I'm on the ballot. And I'm not on the ballot because I'm African American. I'm not on the ballot just because of the gerrymandering. I'm not on the ballot just because we were conned out of $500,000. Not on the ballot because he's just far right wing, wanting to close down the Office of Treasury, fire the Office of Treasury, bring Treasury under his power and authority. Give him a power grab. Not just because he's sending constables and troopers and deputies to the border wall, 1,192 miles away. Not because he's being dishonest on documents that's sustaining the declaration of a disaster. Not because he's not done anything, honestly, to lower your taxes, to say no new revenue in Galveston County. And if you won't stop increasing the appraised value, then we'll have no new revenue and we'll keep cutting taxes appropriately so that the citizens of Galveston County are not paying higher taxes. That could have been done. That's what I'll do when I'm elected as your county judge. I'm gonna take care of the people. I'm gonna take care of the first responders, firefighters, police officers, make sure they have the things that they need. I'm gonna work with my mayors and city council members and commissioners. I'm gonna work with the superintendents. Although it may not be a part of the county judge responsibility, we're gonna be one county, Galveston County. We're gonna be a recognized county. We're gonna be the greatest county in the state of Texas. County that shows unity of familyhood, oneness, that we can be better together. We can restore democracy. We can bridge the divide. We can turn this thing around. We're gonna show the rest of the state how a county can do it. William H. King III for Galveston County Judge. So we're gonna do the right thing. We're gonna represent the people. We're gonna be honest. We're gonna have people working with us and for us and by us, doing the right thing. So I'm asking you to do the right thing and vote for William King. Do the right thing and vote for King. Make up your mind now. You're gonna identify 10 people to go to the polls with you. In different cars, but they're going to the polls with you. Every day, 10 people. And every hour, 10 people. And we're gonna vote, and we're gonna vote in mass numbers. There's over 350,000 people in Galveston County. Over 200,000 registered voters in Galveston County. We're encouraging every last one of you that didn't vote in the last presidential election to vote in this election. This is the critical election. We failed to vote in mass numbers. We failed to vote and move people in positions that's going to do the right thing. It may take decades. Get this country back on track. Get this county back on track. Get this state back on track. Now is the time. Today is the day that we start moving in the right direction. To be honest, it's the reason why he's not giving me a debate. Reason why he's on a power grab. I'm an extrovert, not an introvert. I care about people. People are my passion and my purpose. I'll keep my ear open. I'll meet with you. Keep my finger on the pulse of knowing what's going on in the county that I represent. So as I said to you a moment ago, I'm not just asking you to vote for me because I'm Black. I'm a male. I'm the first African-American person in the 184-year history of Galveston County to ever filed to run for county judge. 150 years ago, slavery ended. So 34 of those years of slavery was impossible for an African-American person to vote. And in a 150-year history, since the ending of slavery, I'm the first African-American person to vote, ask you to vote for them, run for county judge. I'm asking you to vote for me because I'm the total package. Yes, I said it. I'm asking you to vote for me because I am qualified. I've served on the Dickinson City Council for 21 years, balancing budgets, taking care of department heads, taking care of employees, lowering taxes, making sure the needs of the people of the city of Dickinson were taken care of, listening to their concerns, addressing their issues. I've shown how we can utilize taxpayers' dollars for the water district and for the city and build a water district city hall complex and build a library that our young people can appreciate, our parents can appreciate, people looking for jobs can appreciate utilizing the technology inside of the facility. I've shown that how we can take care of the needs of people on the east side of the railroad tracks of Dickinson. We build a fire station so they can lower their fire rating. That we can identify needs, address the needs, strategize the needs, plan, be proactive with the needs, and then resolve it within a confined budget. Not raising taxes on citizens and still get the job done. It can be done. It can be done. I've shown in 21 years of doing that. Lowering taxes, balancing budgets, building facilities, taking care of employees, doing the right thing. In those 21 years, I served 8 years on the board of the Houston Galveston Area Council. It's a council of governments of 13 counties, the largest council of counties in the state of Texas, comprised of 13 counties, in which we receive money from the federal government and the state government to address the needs of those regions. And I've shown that I had the ability to collaborate with county judges, county commissioners, mayors, council members, school board trustees, in order to distribute those funds equitably, appropriately, justly, fairly, honestly. Shown we can do that. And we've delivered through distribution billions of dollars, hundreds of millions into our locale alone. I've shown the ability to do that. I've shown the ability to be a vice chair, a chair-elect, and chairman of the board, not just a board member, but chairman of the board, at the helm, guiding the meeting, directing the meetings. I've shown the ability to do that. I've been a city councilman 21 years, HGAC board member 8 years, chairman of the board, vice chair, and chair-elect. Been a chaplain with the Dickinson Police Department for 27 years, working with the chief of police, working with law enforcement agents, working with firefighters, working with EMS, responding to scenes, right there on the scene, working with citizens, taking care of the needs of people. I'm ready day one. I've been a pastor of the Greater New Hope Missionary Baptist Church for 30 years. I rendered leadership in the community for 30 years, chaplain with the Dickinson Police Department. I'm not an introvert, I'm an extrovert. I get out where the people are, and I work with the people, and I service the people. I try to help where help is needed, and my skills are warranted. Never trying to power grab any position, because my gift always makes room for me. And when you do things justly and we work out fairly, where he elevates, no man can de-escalate. And so I've served honorably, and therefore I've been given the opportunity to be electable, to run for this office, to represent you, the citizens of Galveston County, in the state of Texas, as your next Galveston County Judge. And I'm honored and I'm humbled to be in the position, as I've already given you historical information, to be the person to represent all citizens, men and women, black and white, Hispanic, Asian, Latino, Filipino, Asian, to represent you as your next Galveston County Judge. And in less than 50 days, you're going to the polls. In less than 50 days, you're going to pick up your ballots. In less than 50 days, you're going to vote for the next Galveston County Judge. And that's going to be William H. King III, who's qualified to represent you, who's able to represent you. So I've shared with you the importance of voting. I've shared with you the importance of registering to vote. I shared with you the importance of going to the polls and not going alone. I shared with you that if you've had a felony, you're free, you've been released, you've served your time, you're on probation or parole, how you can vote. I've shared with you that if you're incarcerated because of a speeding ticket or some other violation that you've not been convicted of, but yet you're waiting your trial date, that you can vote. You can vote. I want to tell you about a program called Sisters United Alliance, empowering women in the state of Texas to vote. Women know what has happened with Roe versus Wade, see the things that are happening. And they are now currently talking to you to encourage you to participate in the voting process. 85% of the Sisters United are being contacted, will be able to vote. 85%. Remember, women's rights are important rights. Have a mother, sisters, aunts, wife, daughter, nieces. Women's rights matter. Women matter. They're not second-class citizens. And there's some decisions the government doesn't need to make for a woman, especially not to consider being raped, molested, not to consider the factors of the hurt and the harm that could come to the woman in the event she's too young to bear a baby, give birth to a child, or that her health is on the line, her life is on the line. And even contraception, some women use contraception, not just to prevent pregnancy, some of them use it for health purposes. Their bodies just goes through certain things and they need to use contraceptive programs or entities to have better health, quality of life. Those factors should have been considered. To tell a woman you can't do it and she needed to live, that should have been considered by the Supreme Court, but it wasn't. The party's agenda was more important. That's the sad case of affairs. I say to you, to the listening audience, America, land of democracy, it does the right thing as a leader for the world, the leader of the world. And we see what atrocities are happening in dictatorship type of countries, where autocracy exists, where they're thriving, where they're thirsting and hungry for democracy. We don't want to go backwards. We refuse to go backwards. And so encouraging you to engage in the voting process, to engage in the voting process. So the rights and privileges of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness can be exercised in the United States of America. Listen, what's happening by putting immigrants on buses and planes and just shipping them wherever you want to ship them is wrong. You might be trying to prove a point, but you're doing it the wrong way. Those are lives. Those are children. Those are husbands. Those are wives. Those are women. Those are men. They deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. They're leaving countries where the autocracy exists, where the dictatorship exists, where gangs exist, where people's lives are being taken and they're being used in slavery and trafficking. And they're coming to America, a symbol of hope. There was a reason why the Statue of Liberty is in New York where it is, because it was a port that took in immigrants. America is a nation of immigrants. Let's do the right thing. Let's be respectful. Let's show dignity and pride. That's what the legislative process is all about. Be able to make your argument, to be able to vote on the argument that you make, to be able to be persuasive, and to be able to vote on the persuasiveness of the argument that you made. It's a democratic way of doing it. That's why we call it democracy. The democratic way of doing it. I didn't say Democratic Party, but the democratic way of doing it. Right way, the just way, the honest way of integrity. My name is William H. King III, and I'm grateful that you're with me tonight. You're with me right now. You're listening to me share out of my heart the importance of this election. Let me share my platform. I share with you why I feel like I'm qualified. Let me share with you my vision for Galveston County. I want to restore democracy in Galveston County. I want to bridge the divide. I want to bring people together because we're better together. I want to focus on flood mitigation resiliency. Flood mitigation resiliency. Economic development sustainability. Economic development sustainability. Accountability and transparency in leadership. Accountability and transparency in leadership. Common sense leadership. I want to say to you as your next Galveston County Judge that you will always know where I stand. You'll always have an opportunity to tell me where you stand. We'll always have an ability to dialogue. And I always do what's right for the people. With the people. And I'll be that county judge that will be accountable for my decisions. You'll hold me accountable. I'll hold myself accountable. But there'll be accountability. You won't see any dodging and ducking, hiding, trying to get out of the way of truth. of honesty, because every day of the week, truth is truth. Every time you look in the mirror, truth is truth. So you'll have accountability and transparency. I'll have clear documents articulating and spelling out where my position is, what we're going to accomplish, what we're going to be voting on. You'll have accountability and transparency. You won't be guessing what I'm going to do. I won't be condescending and mean and rude and shrewd to any of my citizens, much less my staff, much less any of the commissioners. Always treat you with respect. Always respect. Just like I've met with all of you. Just like I've spoken with all of you. You know where I stand. And we sat and we talked like gentlemen, like men. We'll reason, we'll talk, and we'll discuss. And that's the kind of leadership we will have. Accountability. To say, you say you're going to do this, you did this. The current judge, 4 years ago, said, I'm going to take care of the Pelican Island Bridge. I'm going to take care of the Pelican Island Bridge. I'm going to address the Pelican Island. I'm going to fix the Pelican Island Bridge. And as soon as the election was over with, what happened to the Pelican Island Bridge? It's in worse condition than it was 4 years ago. Nothing's been done. Matter of fact, he walked away from the table. That's the truth. If it wasn't for the late Ken Clark revisiting the Pelican Island Bridge issue, trying to work with the president of Texas A&M Galveston, it would still be in the same place, nowhere. When I give you my word and I commit to something, you'll know I'm committed to it, and I'll have accountability and I'll have transparency, common sense leadership that you'll understand as much as I understand as to what direction I'm moving in and why I'm moving in that direction. We ran against when he ran against Jim Yarbrough, who was the county judge at that time. He said, Jim Yarbrough is a career politician. We need to get rid of career politicians. He had only been in office for 10 years as the county judge. But that time, the candidate who was running against the incumbent, who was my opponent today, said 10 years was too long. 10 years was too long. And so he's running against him, getting rid of a career politician. Now he's been in office for 12 years. How do you define that? He said he didn't want to run for office for more than one term. He was only going to stay in office for one term. That was 3 terms ago. I can't make this up. This is real stuff. I mean, just listen, saying you need to sweep around your own front door. You need to take care of yourself, being true to your word. If a man doesn't have a word, he doesn't have anything at all. I grew up under my dad's tutelage, and he says, son, William, your word is your bond. You don't have a word, you don't have nothing. People can't trust you. You don't have a word. So were you just saying that to get votes? Were you just saying that for deception, for manipulation? It's the truth. And you can check it. You can check the record. Look at the debate. Him and County Judge Jim Yarbrough. Look at the record between him and Judge Lonnie Cox. Talked about the Pelican Island Bridge. This is the truth. I'm giving you the truth. Now you can choose to turn a deaf ear or close your eyes, but it's still gonna be the truth every day of the week, every month of the year. It's the truth. And so I'm running for accountability and transparency in leadership, common sense leadership. And I hold accountable everyone on the county level. Let's be accountable. Let's be transparent. In every office, let's be accountable. Let's be transparent. The citizens deserve it. It's their taxpayers' dollars. It's the federal government's money. It's the citizens' money. It's the taxpayers' money. Let's be accountable and transparent in our leadership. Second thing is flood mitigation resiliency. Flood mitigation resiliency. It's not a question of if a hurricane is going to come our way. It's a question of when a hurricane is coming our way. So my platform is to be proactive rather than reactive, to strategize on the cutting edge of engineering technology as to how to best mitigate floodwaters, how to best resolve waters getting into our homes, our businesses, and getting waters off our streets in Galveston County. I realize many of our locations at sea level and above sea level. So how do we best maximize the topography of our region to mitigate floodwaters in a way that hydraulically we move waters where we want to move them, hold them as long as we want to hold them until the flood waters recede, and then we hydraulically move the water from where we've held it back out into the ditches, gullies, bayous, bays, tributaries, Gulf, ocean. And so that's what we're going to focus on in a proactive, strategic way so that we can save on the front end rather than having all the damage and cost on the back end. And we're going to do that because I served as the chairman of the board for HGAC, and I know now we're looking at regional projects. And since we're multiple cities within the county, and it will benefit all, then we're going to make sure that we look for regional projects that we can fund through the federal government. Now they've appropriated funding for the Ike Dike, the coastal spine, that will slow the winds and reduce the surge of a pending hurricane coming ashore to Galveston Island, Crystal Beach, Jamaica Beach, big city dikes, so that we can slow the storm, winds, and surge, which does most of the damage, the storm surge, because it pushes all of those high 15 feet of water on shore, and then it pulls everything it can offshore when the tide goes out and the water returns to the ocean. So we want to make sure we're proactive in our strategic plan, working with engineers to reduce flood mitigation resiliency. We are resilient people. We went through Harvey, went through Ike, 1900 storm, and we've always rebounded. Let's be proactive. Let's be smart. And let's be proactive and strategic in trying to reduce the level of damage caused by a hurricane, caused by the flooding of a hurricane, to get in front of the storm before the storm arrives. To face those winds before the hurricane arrives. By being proactive strategically and resolving the problem academically, and then physically implementing the project so that it works. It works in Galveston County, and we are the leading edge of technology. We're the leading edge of resolving flood mitigation for the remainder of the state and the remainder of the water. Your bedrooms and sofas, your couches, your walls. I know what that's like. I didn't go to city council meeting and